The sun was barely lifting over the pale fields when the rejected bride stood at the edge of the ranch house porch, her small suitcase resting by her feet, her breath caught between leaving and hoping. She had come across an ocean with quiet faith stitched into her heart, only to find herself unwanted, misunderstood, and almost invisible. In that fragile moment, with morning light spilling across the dust and fences, she believed her story would end the way it had begun, alone, unheard, and fading into the horizon. Before the story unfolds, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Frontier of Blood if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected love. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Maylene had arrived at the remote ranch with nothing but a letter of promise and a photograph that no longer matched reality. The men in the photo had been younger, softer, and hopeful. What she found instead was a weary rancher named Caleb Holt, burdened by loss, responsibility, and a community that watched too closely. The arrangement had been born from loneliness on both sides, yet when she stepped onto the land, she felt the weight of judgment press against her skin. Whispers followed her through town, eyes lingered too long, and every smile felt borrowed. She worked quietly, cooking, cleaning, learning the rhythms of the land under the wide daytime sky, but no effort seemed enough to soften the distance between her and the men whose name she carried but whose heart felt closed. Caleb had not expected her gentleness to unsettle him so deeply. Each morning, as sunlight stretched across the pasture, he noticed how she moved with care, as if afraid to disturb the world around her. He noticed the way she watched the horses with reverence, the way she folded grief into her silence. But grief recognized grief, and his own pain made him cold. He had lost his family years ago, and in his mind, love had become something dangerous, something that always left. So he kept his distance, convincing himself that rejection would be kinder than hope. Days passed under the open sky, filled with unspoken tension. Maylene felt the ache of being tolerated rather than wanted. She replayed the words of the town, the sideways looks, the quiet exclusion, until they began to feel like truth. By the time sunrise approached on that final morning, she had already decided to leave without noise or blame. She packed carefully, smoothing her clothes as if order could calm her breaking heart. The land was waking as she stepped outside, birds cutting through the air, light brushing the fields. She believed she was invisible, just another shadow passing through a place that would never be hers. But as she moved toward the path leading away from the ranch, something shifted behind her. Caleb stood in the doorway, the morning light revealing the conflict carved into his face. He had watched her from the window, realizing too late that her quiet strength had filled spaces he thought were permanently empty. In seeing her ready to disappear, he felt the truth land with force. Rejecting her meant losing the one person who had brought warmth back into his days. The ranch felt suddenly hollow without her presence in it. He crossed the porch, dust rising beneath his boots, and reached out before fear could stop him. His hand closed around hers, not as a demand but as a plea, grounding and real. In that moment, Maylene felt something she had almost forgotten, being chosen. The world did not change instantly, the town would still talk, the past would still ache, and trust would still need time. But under the clear daytime sky, she saw honesty in his eyes, and he saw courage in hers. What followed was not a grand promise but a quiet beginning. Caleb began to stand beside her in public, introducing her with pride rather than apology. He listened as she shared her story, her dreams, her reasons for leaving home, and slowly, the walls he had built began to crack. Maylene learned that love could grow not from perfection but from patience and effort. Together, they faced the community, the doubts, and their own fears, discovering that belonging was something they could build, day by day, under the open sun. As the seasons shifted, the ranch no longer felt like a place of exile but a home shaped by shared mornings and honest work. Maylene's laughter returned, soft at first, then brighter, and Caleb found himself smiling at things he once ignored. Their story became one of quiet resilience, proof that second chances do not always arrive loudly, but often in the simple act of reaching out before someone disappears forever. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment near the end to like, share, and engage with this video. Your interaction helps these stories reach others who may need hope today. Special request: comment below with the word sunrise if you believe no one should ever be left behind when love still has a chance. Under the steady daylight of the ranch, Maylene stayed, not because she was rescued, but because she was finally seen, and that made all the difference.